In 2023, I made 2 short films in the span of 2 months. The things I learnt from my failures and successes completely changed the way I work as both a director and actor, so I wanted to break down exactly what transpired. The 2 films in question are Martyr, a 10-minute psychological sci-fi thriller about an older woman with dementia who attempts to piece together her reality and in doing so discovers upsetting details about both her past and the shady nursing home she is now living in. There are about 20 people in the crew and a $5,000 Australian dollar budget. The next film was Awake, a 15-minute dream sequence shot on a mixture of Super 8 and digital. It loosely weaves through the anxieties and memories of Michael, who attempts to understand how his friendship with Amy came to an unsatisfying end. The crew consisted of 3 people and no budget. The first film I shot of the 2 was Martyr. I'd been wanting to make this film for 3 years based off a short story I'd written in high school. I sat on the script for over a year and went through a complete change of producers and crew. I waited 2 years to raise the money, and by the time we were ready to shoot, the project had become more of something I felt I had to make out of obligation rather than something I truly wanted to make. As a result, I feel I was fairly uninspired in my work. I focused way too much on planning every shot, getting loads of coverage just in case, and making sure I stuck exactly to the script to ensure the filming went according to plan. This obsession with planning and coverage led to the process feeling forced, and even when I watch it now, I can feel it. While we had a phenomenal DP, cast, and crew, I learnt that over-planning a film, waiting too long to make it happen exactly the way you want it to is probably not a great idea. Neither is getting a bunch of coverage. I even tried to use it all in the edit to justify it, and maybe it's just me, but I feared it came off a little bit student filmy. Awake, on the other hand, was made purely out of passion. I'd seen our DP Hamura's work on Instagram and messaged them saying I really wanted to make something because they were so fucking good. I had no script or plan and threw together a basic idea, not spending too much time planning, and the whole shoot ended up taking maybe 3 days. We guerrillaed the fuck out of it. Hamura on camera, Benji on sound, with a friend Shane filling in for one day, and then myself and Zoe acting and writing as we went. We had a script, but due to various issues we strayed afar. I left the film unedited for months, dejected about how scrambled the whole process had been, and when I finally edited it, I couldn't remember any of the story, so I wrote a new one, piecing together the shots in a random order. Initially there was a narration, but it was a bit shit, so we cut it, and now the film plays more as a beautiful montage of images by Hamura and songs that I wrote. Neither of these outcomes were what I'd intended for, but both films ended up being quite fun to watch and were selected for several film festivals. But what really stuck with me was that over-planning a film can kill passion, and so can under-planning, and I came to discover what was absolutely necessary for me and focused on only that. I'll get to that in a minute. On Martyr especially, I really wish I'd spent more time with the actors. I spent most of the time with headphones on next to the monitor, something I made sure to never do again on my set, and I was so focused on getting the shots perfect and ticking boxes that I wasn't present with the performances, and this is a major regret. All the actors were superb, and I'm so grateful they were able to hold the film together, but I think we could have done even better had I been beside them, watching them in real life, rather than around the corner watching them on the screen. I forgot that while getting storytelling through fantastic images is very important to me, the performances themselves are the most important. And now when I work, I spend time with my actors before the shoot to discuss their characters and the scenes, and then before each shoot on the day, like before each shot, we try to run it with feedback, and then when we shoot, I watch them in person, and then only after do I check out the playback. It kinda seems intuitive, but it took me fucking up once to realize this. Awake was a different story because I was acting a lot more, and that was a whole other thing. When I act and direct, I usually get the DP or AD to direct those scenes so I can be fully present. I really struggled to direct and act, and that's something that I continue having to work on even in recent films. Since 2023, I've directed 3 more short films. Plastic, a 7-minute one-take film that takes place at sunset, starts and ends in the same place, and was shot on an anamorphic lens. We had a 30-minute period to shoot before the light changed and had to time it with a kettle boiling, avoid reflections and shadows, and I was also acting in it. In Paris, I directed Duck, which was an 18-minute black comedy that I wrote over basically one day, shot over 5 days, and it was picture-locked the night we wrapped because I would go home each night and just edit all of the stuff that we shot. And just recently, I shot a 2-minute scene that was called Cappuccino, which I wrote in 10 minutes and shot in under 3 hours. This was more of like an audition scene, but it still kind of plays as a short film. Here are the key things I've learnt to streamline my process and make films I'm proud of without wasting time. If I'm making a film to hit a goal, win a festival, or because I feel I haven't made one in a while, then I've probably lost already. I now spend months marinating ideas until one feels so real that I have to make it, and then the writing and production go incredibly fast. I know exactly what I want, I'm aching to express it, and the people I'm working with can feel my passion. There are some key people who you need for a successful shoot. A DP with their own style and vision, but who is also passionate about your story. I've worked with Jasmine Naish, Hamura Sinclair, Ankit Chandra, and Shane Marshall, and I'm certain that none of those films would have been anything without them. If you don't have a DP that cares about your story, then just film it yourself. A good sound guy is important too. Sound guys always seem to have great vibes. Make sure they're good at what they do because ADR sucks. Essentially, I guess just choose people who are fun to work with and who actually like your script or idea, and ideally who can demonstrate previous work that's actually good. In terms of equipment, I've been really lucky that I've worked with a lot of film students, so I can just kind of steal whatever equipment their university has. But I also have shot stuff on phones that I'm proud of, and I really think that if you have a good DP and if you have a good vision, then equipment doesn't really matter. And I also kind of like the look of films that are mixed media, you know, a bit on a phone, a bit on a camera, a bit on Super 8. It really, you can just justify it for the film as long as the story's good and the passion is there, I reckon. If you know what you want, trust it. I always like to merge two movies. For example, Zoolander meets Top Gun. One film you can have for its tone, one for its pacing, etc. And you can share that with your cast and crew too, so they kind of get an idea of the vibe you're going for. When you know what you want, you're not going to waste time on scenes that you don't need. You won't get loads of shots that you don't need. Plastic was literally one shot. With Duck, we only used one take per scene unless absolutely necessary, which was something I saw and loved in Tarkovsky's Stalker. And I just really like to have 1 or 2 shots maximum per scene and focus on making them good and getting great performances. I'm a big fan of 2 shots as well. I think standard coverage is kind of boring. When you have a vision, you'll know how much you need to plan. Some films like Awake could have done with more planning, so we focused our energy on shooting what we actually wanted and speeding up the edit. Whereas Marta could have done with a year less of planning, throwing away half of the shot list and just focusing on the story and the performances that really mattered. So I'm very glad I shot these 2 films, and I intend to release both despite some shortcomings because I'm still super proud of what we created. And because of those 2 months, I've learnt so much I've taken into my subsequent productions. Thanks to all the insanely talented cast, crew, and supportive people who've come along to my screenings and helped raise money for the festival entries, I will see you all soon.